You're listening to the Fantasy Football Podcast with Charles Barr and jl-chapman.
Here we go, episode 28, in honor of Adrian Peterson. So this is Child Abuse Awareness Month.
I didn't know where you were going with that, but that is very appropriate.
Hey, don't do it. Sponsored by Adrian Peterson.
Hey,
okay.
Everybody has he's a Ray Lewis award winner, so congratulations.
Oh, man. And will he be in the NFL? That's the question.
I don't think so. I think it should be over. It's got to be over.
I mean, we'll see. We will see. But the other thing we're going to see about is finally I'm going to consult Jonathan Chapman, fantasy football enthusiast, maybe a bit more, about my Dynasty team. I finally entered into a Dynasty league. Shout out to Jay for the invite and John for the connect. And I'm really excited about it.
Man, it's fun. You're taking over a piece of crap team.
Yeah.
We'll get into this, but I will say this. It is absolutely as much fun as fantasy football can be, and I'm really excited. So we're going to talk through Charles's new team. We're going to go through how some improvements he needs to make and some strategy on how to become a contender whenever you take over a bad team, or just say you're a bad team anyway, whether you made it bad or whatever. We're going to help out with that.
Yeah. So just real quick, it feels like the stakes are high in Dynasty. That's what really kind of draws me back sometimes from making a trade, because I'm like, in a redraft, it's like, you know what, next year you can just start all over. But a mistake in Dynasty, it feels like it could last for quite some time.
It's never ending. That's the thing. But that shouldn't stop you from trading, because you can literally trade year-round, as I always do. I've done 2 trades in 2 days, and I'm not done. I'm still working on some more. It's constantly just improving your roster, and especially this time of the year, you are trying to turn over the bottom part of your roster. And if you are a person that is not sure, you're new to Dynasty, what you need to do, you need to get on Twitter, and you need to go follow this guy right here. His name is jharley53. So that's at jharley, Harley, the number 53. He just put out some amazing articles on basically Dynasty checklists and different times of the year what you need to be doing now. We're going to be talking about some of that today.
And he's a real sweetheart.
He's so nice. He's a little too nice.
He's very sweet. So, guys, I literally have about 20 people on my roster, but there's only 8 to 10 people worth mentioning. So I'm just going to quickly go through what I have. I'll start with the strength of my roster, a trade that I made early on, right as I got into Dynasty. And my 2 strongest players are Alvin Kamara and Leonard Fournette. And that is a great base to have.
It really is. And this is a half-point PPR league. And the starting format's a little bit different. It's 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. Not super flex, just 2 regular flex, running back, wide receiver, tight end, then 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, kicker, defense.
Yeah, so if that's the strength of my team, the next guy up is Kirk Cousins. He's my next strong piece. He's going to be able to do some damage with the Vikings with Diggs and Thielen, I believe.
Yeah, and so you've got 3 key pieces, but I'm just going to be really honest with you. It gets Ryan Tannehill ugly pretty quick.
Here we go. It gets ugly, folks. On my starting freaking roster, James White, Devontae Parker, Pierre Garçon, Jordy Nelson, Jack Doyle, and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, just to mention some people on the bench who I think are somewhat noteworthy. Alan Hearns, depending on where he goes, and Terrell Pryor. That's all.
I think C.J. Anderson's not a bad keeper, because you have C.J. Anderson and Devontae Booker, which lets you know you took over the team for a Denver fan.
Oh, Lord.
And that's part of the reason why his team sucked, but that's okay. So you need to keep those guys. So in this league, you get to keep 12 players after the NFL draft. We do our cut down from 22. roster spots to 12, which, Charles, let's be honest, you're not going to have a hard time keeping 12.
Right. Seriously.
But you have those core pieces. So during this time, let's say you're taking over a dynasty team. What you need to do is you need to churn the bottom of your roster. Again, this is straight out of J. Harley 53. This is what he talks about. So you have to find those guys that have any value whatsoever in package picks up to. So let's say, for instance, you have somebody like, let's see here. You have Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor is not going to be a starter for you necessarily, but you want to find a team with a weak wide receiver core and offer Terrell Pryor in your 4th round pick for their 3rd round pick. Things like that. To where you can bump up, because in Dynasty, the first 3 rounds of the draft are really all that matters. So anything you can do to get as many picks in there, and let's say you can't find a trade partner. Well, in our league, you could trade 2019 draft picks. So if you can do Terrell Pryor and your 4th rounder for a 2nd rounder in 2019, you got to send that out. You got to be active.
So out of the 3 rounds, how many of those players do you usually end up keeping? I mean, we're just talking about gambling here, that sometimes guys in the 3rd round work out. Give me a percentage.
So you keep them the whole year, because as soon as the rookie draft happens in Dynasty, your roster limit goes from 12 back to 22.
Okay.
So all those draft picks that you get to keep all the way up until after the 2019 NFL draft is over, right? And so it starts over. So this is the cool thing about dynasty leagues, is it is 100% year-round, and you never stop. And I was in your position a few years ago. So I took over my very first orphan team. It was second to last, and it was an absolute blast. My team was trash. I had one stud, and it was a super flex league, which means you can start 2 quarterbacks in your starting roster. But I had DeAndre Hopkins, and that was it. I made a lot of crazy, ridiculous trades where I was bundling first-round picks for future first-round picks, and I worked the waiver wire like a madman. And that's what you're going to have to do this year. You got to be the first guy to the waiver wire. And I missed the playoffs my first year. Second year, I was in the championship game, and I lost by 0.8. And so you can do it. I got a lot of lucky breaks, but if you can hit home runs and be consistent, you can build a winner. It just takes time and effort.
Okay. So, quick question. So, let's refer back to that sweetheart, Jay Harley. He sent me a trade offer today. Now,
put it out there.
Jay, I just need you to know, I'm not like jl-chapman. One of the
he has a
areas
soul.
that's right. One of the areas that we disagree on is I think John values the wide receiver a little bit more than I do.
And so in Dynasty, hold on, pump your brakes, and then I want you to finish your thought.
Okay.
Wide receiver position in Dynasty is even more important because it is safer and longevity is there. So just keep that in mind. What's a running back's career? 4 to 5 years in its prime. Receiver, I don't think that is the case. That's why I value the wide receiver position, because it is consistent, and that's what I believe in. Back to your point, Chuck.
Okay, so the trade is Leonard Fournette for Allen Robinson, straight up. So my initial gut reaction is absolutely no. Even though that they're probably going to have some similar value, I guess, fantasy point wise, but not really. I kind of see Leonard Fournette as having not just a longer career. He's a young player, so is Allen Robinson. But Allen Robinson was just recently injured. Now he's going to a Cold City team. I have some doubts about his longevity. So there are other factors in there besides age and position. Also, I've got to factor in the injuries. So what do you think about that trade? What are some additions that you might throw in there? Just what are some of your just initial thoughts?
So one, I would not do that trade. Absolutely not. Leonard Fournette is younger, and that's the thing. You want these young running backs that are focal points. I love third down backs. So Leonard Fournette is a guy that can play on all three downs, and that makes me happy. And he's in an offense that just got upgraded on the offensive line with the signing of Norwell. And so I love Fournette over him. I hate where Allen Robinson went. I understand they just got a new offensive coordinator in Nagy. I get all that stuff. That's great. But I absolutely would not do this trade. And again, roster construction is huge. You need multiples. So I would trade a Leonard Fournette for Allen Robinson and a first round pick. Maybe. I'm still going to say no to that. But that's getting it closer, because that does you no good. Let's even say Allen Robinson has a top 5 wide receiver year this year. It didn't help you out. It didn't help you out at all. You need depth and you need stars.
Yeah. So, no offense to Jay, because again, sweetheart. And the guy has the most stacked roster of all time. Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson. Basically, this roster says quit. And, I'm not going to, but wow.
But you got to love the challenge, and that's the thing. Jay is a trader, and him and I are very, very similar in our rosters. We are going to trade depth for stars, and that is the goal that you want to get to, but you're not in that level yet.
No,
and so you need to take advantage of filling your starting roster first, then taking chances for home run picks. And so whenever you draft, you are looking for boom bust potential. That is what you want. Less boom, more bust. Or wait, yeah, I'm dyslexic. That worked. Anyway, so that's what you're going to have to do.
Can I just talk about something I want to call the Tom Brady effect? And, now that the Eagles have won the Super Bowl, I can talk positively about this guy.
Hey, welcome to the club, man. Being a fan of a Super Bowl winning franchise, it's pretty cool.
It is cool, and the fact that we beat him, that was cool. But again, it makes you respect the guy, and here's what I'm going to say. One of the things I think we'll end up missing about him is the Tom Brady effect, the TB12 effect, is that this guy can turn any free agent that's still left on the market out there into wide receiver 1 material. You look at a guy that I have on my bench here, okay? Let's say that Allen Hurns goes to the Patriots. Probably not likely. Maybe it happens. But all of a sudden, that guy goes from, we're going to keep him on the roster, to probably a starter. And also I've been hearing a lot of flack about Allen Hurns. Oh, he's a wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 3. I want people to take into consideration for a minute that he was getting some of the most inaccurate balls thrown his way, and he was catching them and delivering and making moves. So I know he's not the cleanest receiver. So that's a twofold topic there. One is the impact that Tom Brady can have on fantasy football, Dynasty, or Redraft, which is this kind of cool concept. That's wild that this guy can have that much impact on the market. And then I just think that Allen Hurns deserves a little bit more credit, because that offense has not really been super wide receiver friendly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not a. You say whatever you want about Tom Brady, but his wide receivers are usually not fantasy studs. Brandon Cooks was the number 11th rated wide receiver last year. He spreads things out. He doesn't focus on one guy besides Gronk, and outside of that, it's matchup based. Who is somebody we can take advantage of today? And that person will dominate. Everybody else is going to have nothing. I'm not the biggest wide receiver fan for New England. I understand everybody else likes it, but it's not who I am.
I also think that they're a bit of an anomaly, that he had a lot of moving parts this year. Even though they didn't have some bigger, longer injuries, it was week-to-week stuff, like Hogan's gone this week, and he's back next week. So there wasn't a ton of consistency for that offense. Not making excuses for that dude. He needs none.
Right.
So what about the Allen Hurns comment, though? I mean, do you agree or disagree?
Allen Hurns, we've seen him have an amazing year before where he had double-digit touchdowns. Yeah. And if he goes to a good spot, let's say he goes to the Cowboys and he fills that number 2, wide receiver number 2 spot, something like that, then definitely, you know what? Yeah, it's going to be a great sign. If he goes to the Saints, awesome. It's just a fit. He has to fall into a perfect situation. Otherwise, He's a wide receiver 3 flex play at best, and that's best case scenario. There's a reason why they let him walk out the door. He did have that huge contract extension that hurt him, but there's a reason why they're letting him go.
Yeah. Well, we have a disagreement there, and that's okay. I just watched that guy enough to see Blake Bortles miss him enough times. I feel like it's just not really a great assessment of him. And the same for Allen Robinson. We haven't seen the best of this guy yet.
Yeah, 1,400 yards that year was amazing, and I love Allen Robinson. I'm not a Trubisky fan, but he's gonna have to prove me wrong. We'll see.
Yep. All right, man. I think it's time. I think we get into some rankings.
All right, so let's make a shift. So we're making a shift now from Dynasty talk, and we're going just for this year. So this is redraft, but it still applies to Dynasty because this is this year's focus only. So we are going to take turns, and we're going to go through, and we're going to rank our top 24 players, and we are going to take turns. Chuck, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You know what? I'm going to let you go first. Honor,
right.
sir.
Give me the layup. So in a redraft league, as of now, this is before the NFL draft and all that stuff, and we're not counting rookies into this because we don't know where they're going, but the number one player on my board, and this entire thing is a half-point PPR format, scoring format, just so you understand. I'm going Todd Gurley, number one, right off the bat, just because of, man, love the system. They've lost a couple passing options, and I think that they are just going to keep continuing just feeding him the ball. And we saw what he could do in the amazing numbers he put up in the fantasy playoffs, won a lot of people championship. Todd Gurley, my number one player in redraft leagues.
Is that even a layup? I'm not even sure it's a layup. I mean, I just lifted you up to the rim and let you dunk. That's what I did.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is also sort of a layup in a way. Number 2, Le'Veon Bell. Hard to go away from this guy.
Gosh.
He's got so much potential in that offense. Even with an ailing Big Ben, doesn't matter. He's got too many offensive weapons for them to put 8 in the box. The Steelers will smoke that sort of format. And again, the guy's an excellent runner. He's just different. He's a different athlete, no matter the drama that's on the outside, which makes me stay away from him usually in drafts. But here's the deal. He's that good. You got to go number 2.
He's amazing. He is absolutely amazing. Now, let's stay with his teammate. At number 3, the number 1 wide receiver 3 years in a row, Antonio Brown. Safe. I don't like drafting wide receivers in the first round. I want to hit big on a running back, but I cannot. If you get Antonio Brown, you just like basically, oh, I'm in the playoffs.
Come on. Now I got a disagreement here. How many teams win it all with Antonio Brown on their squad? And follow-up question, you have the number 3 pick in the draft this year. You're going Antonio Brown?
It's so safe, man. Coming from a guy that drafted David Johnson first in 5 out of 6 leagues last year, I just want some production from my first round pick, and he is the safest play imaginable. I can't get Gurley. I can't get Bell. Man, I'm just going to, you know what? I'm going to take a stud wide receiver and just relax.
Yeah. Well, and I think that anyone listening should know that that's going to impact my rankings, that I'm actually going off of like how I would draft. For me, I would not necessarily go wide receiver. I got burned too many times early on in fantasy football.
Andre Johnson.
Andre Johnson. DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, man, that was a rough one. So who you going number 4?
I'm going to go against my old birds. I'm so sorry, man. I got to say Ezekiel Elliott at 4. He's got the line in front of him. Let's say that the Cowboys do something really smart, too, in the draft, and they take Hernandez at guard, or they take Wynn at guard, or somebody like that. Or, hell, they even trade up and they get Nelson, which would be wild. Not going to happen. But you're talking about a guy who's got talent, and as John Chapman says, who's quoting somebody else, talent and opportunity. So the opportunity's there. Dez is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. They have to feed this guy. Yeah. He's a safe pick.
And he's going to be pissed this year. He's going to be upset.
That little
Just hope he doesn't hit somebody else again. At number 5, I'm going David Johnson because I got to keep going back to the well. I absolutely love this kid. And Sammy freaking Bradford is the quarterback there. They're paying $20 million. Like, they're just going to run the ball and check down. There's one wide receiver on the roster, Larry Fitzgerald, but David Johnson, I understand his injury with his wrist last year. That's a freak accident. You can't do injury-prone anything there. David Johnson's my number 5 player off the board. Yeah, and I would have taken him 4. I would have taken him after Antonio Brown.
You're not scared of him? You're not scared of that injury?
No, because the volume, it's a wrist injury. Like, that's not a recurring issue, and the volume is going to be there. He's a true third down back that's going to catch 70-plus balls. And, I mean, his goal last year was to have 1,000 rush yards and 1,000 pass yards, and he can do that. Like, he is a guy that could be the number 1 player in fantasy, just like he was 2 years ago.
Yeah. All right, up next for me, I'm going Alvin Kamara.
Ooh.
Jumping up. Same reasons. I do have some suspicions that he's going to touch the ball even more so. Obviously,
I hope so. He didn't touch the ball very much last year.
Well, I mean, other than all the points he scored. But I think that Ingram behind him, I think you've got to start to protect your veterans and probably decrease his snaps a little bit. And you've got Breeze with a year or 2 left, and Kamara is going to be that dude. He's going to be that guy who they'll put out at the wide receiver position to put him in motion. This guy's got all the opportunity. And the thing is, he's got this weird ability to shed huge freaking tacklers.
It doesn't matter, man. You can't bring that guy down. He's very impressive.
Yeah, it's weird. The Matrix. So he's got some sort of cheat code on gravity. I'm taking Kamara.
Very good. At 7, I'm going back to wide receiver. Odell Beckham Jr. with the number 7 pick. I know you might not like it, but again, you bring that guy out. He's still fighting for a contract. There's all kinds of stuff going on socially. Man, give me that guy with a chip on his shoulder. He might cry 4 times throughout the season, but I don't care. His talent is undeniable.
Just as a side note, as a GM and a fan, I wouldn't want that guy for anything, for nothing. I don't want him on my team. He wants the most money, so he's going to lopside. No, he's going to lopside your freaking cap, and you're going to not be able to pay other positions. Forget him.
I want him.
Coming up next, you skipped over him. I'm going to take him. Kareem Hunt, your boy from last year. Opportunity, volume, talent. What more do you want? I'm taking Kareem Hunt. I wish I would have taken him last year. I took Dalvin Cook, which I don't regret that. The guy's going to be solid. Had an unfortunate injury. But he's just going to put on because why?
Do you think Andy Reid will actually hand him the ball more this year?
I think he has to.
I hope so.
I think that Andy Reid took a big risk here by trading Alex Smith. You went with an unknown, with a known to an unknown. Patrick Mahomes has a very small sample size. We're going to see how he adjusts to new defenses, injuries on his O-line, all this stuff. You have to rely on the run game. And Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to be a decent player. So I like what that does to Hunt's productivity.
Solid. And I love the signing of Sammy Watkins there, not from a football standpoint, but You got Tyreek Hill running down the right sideline. You got Sammy Watkins running down the left sideline. You cannot load the box anymore, especially with the Patrick Mahomes arm, who might have one of the strongest arms in the entire NFL. Like, not saying he's going to complete passes, but the deep threat is there on multiple levels with Travis Kelce over the middle. Loaded box are a thing in the past for Kareem Hunt, which is awesome. So that was number 8 pick with Hunt. At number 9, I'm going DeAndre Hopkins, man. He finished just barely behind Antonio Brown for the number 1 wide receiver last year, but I think that he is, man, can you imagine what will happen if Deshaun Watson can stay healthy?
Wow. It's going to be great. And two, I mean, that wide receiver core is a bit underrated on the other side. I think that they provide him opportunities, so I like it.
All right, best hands in the league.
For sure. Still not taking him because he was a wide receiver, but I respect your pick. Oh, I'm so predictable. All right. Next up, Leonard Fournette.
Ooh, all right.
This guy's a smash mouth dude. with speed, a guy who's going to wave a safety on, like bring it, bro, and then lay them down like it's bedtime. So on top of that, they improved their O-line. I think that it's going to be an improved offense. Weirdly, I know they're losing A-Rob, they're losing Hearns. They brought in some talent. I like what Dede Westbrook brings to the table. I'm liking Fournette even more this year, so I feel it's a solid pick.
Yeah, not bad. All right, with the number 11 pick, I'm going with your boy, Dalvin Cook.
Okay.
Absolutely love Dalvin Cook this year, probably more than I should. The signing of Kirk Cousins there is just magic for him. I think Kirk Cousins is not an amazing quarterback, but what he does as well, if not better than anybody else in the NFL, is he progresses through his reads super fast. And when somebody's covered, he doesn't force it. Sometimes he makes bad throws, but he usually doesn't force it. He checks down like no other. Think about Chris Thompson last year and all the fantasy points he put up. Now you put those same targets to Dalvin Cook. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Right. And just like sort of like a Carson Palmer, he's a guy who's going to expose the blitz. So you're not going to be able to load the box as much. People are going to have to be careful with Kirk Cousins. Solid pick, Dalvin Cook. Hope you're back, my brother. Hope you're feeling well. Next up for me is, I'm skipping over wide receivers again.
Again?
Yeah. I'm going, this is on what I would do, okay?
All right.
What I value. Melvin Gordon.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Am I messing your rankings
Oh,
up?
no, you're good. You're good. I had him number 17, but
he's at 12.
Yeah, that's okay. Tell me why.
Well, something about that Phillip Rivers magic, number one. But I really like what this offense brings to the table this year. I think there's so many times where there's those guys that you predict are going to have those breakout years and they're going to be good and they're going to be this and that. I finally think Hunter Henry comes on. I think that Mike Williams actually has a year. I think Keenan Allen continues to be himself. I think that offense is going to be potent. They're always that offense that takes a minute to kind of get going, and then all of a sudden they're like this, you don't want to see them after week 8. But, hey, he's been on my team the past few years, and he's done me really solid. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for in the first round, if I'm drafting a little bit lower, because what do we have him at 12?
Yeah.
Shoot. If I'm getting Melvin Gordon at 12, I'm celebrating.
And this is the swing pick, right? So you would pick back-to-back 12 to 13.
Oh, man.
And the thing with Melvin Gordon, I will say,
that's hot.
They're getting back their second-round pick from last year, Forrest Lamp, who's going to be starting guard, and they just signed Pouncey. So you're talking about a pretty stud offensive line. They are my almost lock pick for the playoffs and to win the AFC West this year. I love the Chargers. I think that their team is solid. So, yeah, Melvin Gordon, solid pick. But there's somebody still on the board that's kind of a big deal that made it out of our first round.
Oh, for sure. But he hurt a lot of people on fantasy last year.
He does. He's a painful man. And I'm going with him here. With the number 13th pick, somehow he made it out of the first round. Julio Jones, who his end-of-year totals are always off the charts. The problem with Julio Jones is he is the opposite of consistent.
Yep.
And he will put up a 4-point game at least 3 times throughout the year. And it seems to be on times when you need it the most. I don't know why he disappears. His talent is undeniable. I wish they would throw him the ball in the end zone. But he's just not a touchdown guy. But Julio Jones at 13, who is amazing. I feel like this is an absolute steal.
Yeah, for sure. And so is the next guy, my first wide receiver off the board.
Who'd that be?
And this is at 14, correct? So it's so weird to hear Drew Brees say he's the most talented wide receiver I've ever played with. That's wild. Michael Thomas at 14. You're talking about the likes of Joe Horn. And that's it. No, I'm just kidding. But
Marcus Colston.
Marcus
Come on,
Colston.
man. He's a beast. That
Willie
was awesome.
Snead.
Willie
Yeah.
Snead. Oh, my gosh. Willie Snead was one of my guys last year and totally laid an egg on that one.
Blew it. He's got cool hair. But Michael Thomas, man, I saw it when the Eagles have played him, and the guy is an excellent route runner. He's got great hands, and Drew Brees looks for him. And shoot, man, with how many times they're passing the ball and how effective that play action is, your safeties and your linebackers have to stay focused on that run game. He's going to have the ability to expose corners and safeties, and I just love him. I think he's going to have a lot of production for the next few years.
Awesome pick. I love Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is one of like my guys because he's safe and consistent. Like that is what I value in fantasy. I don't like boom bust. So like the Julio Jones, he's not on my fantasy teams very often because he's just so hot or cold. I want safe and consistent. And with my number 15 pick, I think this guy is going to be a steal. I think he's going to finish as a top 4 wide receiver for sure this year. That's Davante Adams. Absolutely love this guy. I own him in every single Dynasty league I'm in, and there's one that I don't, but I almost got a trade done to get him, and he will be mine. He is my precious this year. Jordy is gone. Aaron Rodgers is back and pissed off. Like, I am so pumped for what Davante Adams. And the thing about Davante Adams is, not only did he produce last year without Aaron Rodgers, he has put up back-to-back touchdown seasons, even though he missed games last year with Brett Hundley at quarterback. Like, he has accelerated his game. I really do think that this guy is on the rise.
Yeah. So, safe and consistent. This is maybe the last year that you can kind of pick this guy.
I knew you were going to say this. I already know where you're going.
LaShawn McCoy, my boy. Yeah. Okay, at 16. And, you know, the thing is, man, I've watched this guy's career. I just have loved every freaking snap. It was so cool to see him in that stacked backfield before anybody knew him. And Brian Westbrook's back there. And we're like, who's this LaShawn McCoy kid? Only, you know, just one of the best movers and shakers to ever suit up. And so I think that the Bills are going to have to rely on this guy. I think his ability in the pass game, it just makes him because we're in the second round now, and we're we're kind of at the top still, but still, if you can turn around at what? So we're at 16. So what would that be? 8, depending on how many people are in there, and grab LaShawn McCoy there. You're talking about a very consistent player for you for the season. So I'm loving it.
And the volume is there. That's the thing. It's a rarity to have a true 3-down back in the NFL. And he's one of 6. He's one of about 6 or 7 guys that have that. And just the volume alone is huge. Plus, he has the upside because he catches passes and he breaks off big plays. The sad thing about LaShawn is he gets hurt about 4 times a game and you like get really, really scared. But he is absolutely amazing. Now, number 17, I'm going back to wide receiver. Safe and consistent. That is what I want. Probably not safe. Shouldn't have used that word here. Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, his ceiling is unreal. He was the first wide receiver in, I don't know how long, several years to put up 100 yards receiving and a touchdown in 4 straight games. When he is on, he is on. And absolutely love this guy. The only thing that can get in his way is injuries. But last year was awesome. Hopefully he can keep that going. He's still really young. That's the thing people don't understand. He's not old. He's just had a bunch of injuries, and hopefully he can stay healthy like he did last year.
So remind me, though, the format here. We're in redraft, and you said half PPR?
Half point per reception. That is correct.
All right, I'm going to come up, and I'm going to snack a guy from you.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a surprise pick. People are going to disagree with this pick, but
I like it. I like disagreements.
I got foresight, brothers. All right, so Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, you son of a bee.
Yeah.
I had him as my last pick no matter what, just so I could talk about how great this wonderful person is on the 49ers roster, but I'm going to shut up. Hats off to you.
No.
Do your thing.
No. I'll let you follow up. Here's the thing. I do not. Okay, so jl-Chapman is just like super hyped on Jimmy Garoppolo. He believes they're going to win the Super Bowl, and I don't blame him, man. This team is going to be good. Do I think that they're going to be that good? I do not. I think they've got the Rams to contend with, and let's talk about Ndamukong Suh, and if he signs with the Rams, let's talk about that in a little bit. But if that happens, I mean, come on, it's going to be quite difficult. But let's get back to McKinnon. One of the things this guy said early on, even when he was still in Minnesota, is that he wanted to be a number one running back. I've watched this guy. When he hits the hole, when he touches the ball, he's ferocious. He's mad. He wants to it's not necessarily he wants to hit another guy, but he's not afraid of it either. So I think that with the offensive scheme that he's in, with that coach and that quarterback, come on. As a running back too, next year, yeah. I'm taking it big time, especially at 18. Absolutely, I'm taking him at 18 if he's there. Let me tell you who I'm taking him over. I'm taking him over Mark Ingram. I'm taking him over Devontae Freeman. Why? Because I believe Tevin Coleman's going to be a bigger part of that team next year. I'm taking him over a Mike Evans because of the consistency I don't believe in Tampa Bay. No. But Jerick McKinnon's going to produce for you. Okay?
This is not even, we're not even playing with these teams. Obviously, we're just ranking. I'm just mad I didn't get to say him first.
Yeah, sorry. I had to steal your thunder. But that's on you, bro. You should have taken him at number one. Just kidding. Go ahead.
I'll take this L. And I agree with you completely. You're talking about a guy that might lead the running back class in catches. Carlos Hyde had 57 catches last year on 84 targets, which is a terrible ratio. But you're talking about a guy that could have 80 to 90 catches in this offense, which is just so scary because that's who Kyle Shanahan is. He's the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. I believe that. And he paid out the wazoo to get McKinnon. And so we will see what happens. Absolute great pick at 18. Hashtag sad.
Sorry.
Hashtag sad. All right, number 19. This is incredible value as we're getting to this point. AJ freaking Green is still on the board at 19. And he is just... I understand he's had some injury issues, whatever else. It's been small stuff, but he is an absolute beast. And just to get him at the back end of the second round, and I feel like he's dropping. I mean, he finished as the number 10 wide receiver last year. Absolutely just value. I don't know why people are sleeping on him as much, but I would love to get AJ Green in the second round.
No doubt. All right, pick 20, half-point PPR. Got to go with Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, good pick.
I didn't really see him come on right at the beginning of the year, even the middle part of the year. But I would say around the last 45 games, I started to see the potential. I started to see a guy who was comfortable. I didn't really feel that he was comfortable all year. And all of a sudden, he's sort of being, a little bit more light on his feet with his cuts, with this movement. Like, he's not afraid he's going to get, absolutely destroyed. And he's just moving and shaking guys. Those wheel routes, they started to figure out how to use him a little bit more. So it's hard to go away from this guy in the second round. Shoot, at pick 20, and he's right there. And you've got the loss of Jonathan Stewart.
Yes, that's huge.
Right. And now this guy's going to get more volume.
He was the number 8 running back last year. Just consistent.
There you go. And you're getting the number 8 running back at the 20 spot with a higher ceiling than number 8. So you got to go.
Yeah. Good, well said, man. Good pick. This next one kind of pisses me off, and I don't even want to do it. You and I are very, very similar. I'm not a Mike Evans fan. However, he does return a lot of value in the second round. The sad thing is Mike Evans is going to be going in the first round in almost every draft, which is just an atrocity. The guy's a baller, and he's a heavy volume play, but he always leads the NFL in drops and is in last place in yards after the catch 2 years in a row. But you still got to say it is there. He finished last year as the number 18 wide receiver, and I'm getting him in the second round just because I feel like they're going to pepper him with targets. Pick 21's about where he should go.
Okay. Again, I'm going to go with another controversial pick. I'm taking Kenyon Drake at number 22.
Whoa. All right. He wasn't even on my list.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you can put up that kind of production in that crappy of an offense.
Awesome.
I like you. And I trust you because they need you. I also think that I still trust that offense to get vertical. I kind of also think that the draft is going to sort of impact this ranking list because let's say that they do move up and they get a guy who can chunk it and who can be like they get a Baker Mayfield. All of a sudden, this guy has some real potential. And we're at pick 22 here, so that means you probably drafted at the top, and you're going to have this pick and then another one in a little bit. So
swing for the fences, man.
Swing for the fences, right? So now I'm going to get a running back who, not off the top of my head, I don't know, but what was the height of where he was scoring last year? I mean, there were some weeks where he was right in that top 3.
He led the NFL in rushing the last 7 weeks of the season.
There you go.
I know that off the top of my head. But, I mean, and so let me just say this. I 100% believe in Kenyon Drake. My problem is I don't think the Dolphins do. If you remember after they traded Jay, however you say that, they started Damian Williams. And the last quarter of the game, Kenyon Drake rips off this huge touchdown, wins the game for them. The next week, they start Damian Williams again. It takes Damian Williams getting injured before they believe in him. I am positive that they are going to be drafting a running back in the first 3 rounds. Now, if they don't do that, then Kenyon Drake should probably go in the first round. You're talking Dalvin Cook level, but it just seems who they pair him up with. If they believe in him, then yeah, he's going to be an absolute beast. But I don't know. I don't know if they believe in him. That's my only issue.
We'll have to update this list post-draft.
Yeah, heck yeah. All right, we're almost done. We got 2 picks left. My last pick that I will make at pick 23 is Jordan Howard. He doesn't get a lot of love, man, but he is a RB1 in both of his years in the NFL. He finishes the running back number 11 last year, and he's actually going to have a decent offensive coach this year. The fact that he finished as an RB1 under John Fox is just unreal. I mean, it's Jeff Fisher 2.0 up there. So I don't think he's going to get as many carries, but he's going to have a lot more space to run. Really is. And so Jordan Howard, pick 23, and the last pick of our rankings summit. Who are you going to take, Charles?
If this guy's here right at the end, it's just I can't not. I don't super love him, but I just can't not have Devontae Freeman based on what he's done in the past. And I think the type of, who knows, flip a coin on what kind of year Matt Ryan's going to have and see what kind of consistency that he's going to bring to the table. Is he going to be the MVP? Is he going to throw more to Julio? We don't know. But I do like. I think that there is some consistency there at a pick where you would have the next pick in the 3rd round. So I would take Devontae Freeman there.
Hey, well said, man. 3 years in a row of over 1,000 total yards, and he's consistent, man. He is just consistent. And he even missed a couple games with the concussion stuff, but yeah, great pick there, man. That was fun. I could do that all the time,
like every day, like totally. So, can we talk about something though before maybe we get out of here? Can we talk about Sue for a second?
All right. What do you want to talk about, Sue?
This isn't fantasy related per se, okay? But dude is deciding between the Rams and the Saints. Is it just a lock if he goes to the Saints? And how much better does he make the Rams if he goes there? Give me your take.
So both of those are amazing defenses to go to. They play very similar defense. It's an attack defensive front. Now the thing is this. Both of them have penetrating nose guards already, and it seems like you have Sheldon Rankin, the defensive tackle out of Louisville that they got last year who broke his leg his rookie year, but he played great last year, and then obviously defensive player of the year in Aaron Donald. And so it seems like what Sue is trying to do is go to a place where he cannot be double-teamed every damn play, and is a contender. I'll be really honest with you. I don't want him going to the Rams.
Right.
I don't want to see him twice a year as a 49ers fan, but I am excited just as far as football goes to see what can happen. So we'll see. We haven't had news yet, but it seems like it's down to those 2 teams, and I'm hoping the Saints get them.
Yeah. One more thing. What else do you want your Niners to do in free agency? Is there anything else you're looking for them? Any guys out there that you're hoping that they get along?
No, we just got Jonathan Cooper as a guard from the Cowboys, who actually played pretty good on a 1-year deal, but the Cowboys couldn't keep him because they don't know how to manage their cap because their GM is an old drunkard. Anyway, so not a bad signing. It's not splash, but no, I don't want any more signings. I'm ready to fill our roster with draft picks. And I wouldn't mind trading some trades, but as far as the free agents that are out there, the only one that I would want to sign is probably Eric Reed, who was the strong safety for the 49ers, but he's probably not going to get a contract in the NFL. He's been very vocal and was kind of like the second man in the kneeling thing with Colin Kaepernick, and it seems as if he hasn't even had a visit, and he played very, very well last year, but it seems like his NFL career is going to be over just because of his political stance.
Oh, that's crap, dude.
Yeah.
That stinks. Well, I hope the Eagles bring him in. We need a third safety.
There you go, man.
Great.
There you go.
That'd be great. Well, man, this wraps up our episode. This was really cool. Actually, that rankings thing has got to stay. It was a lot of fun. But it kind of feels that free agency happened so quick and so fast and furious that it left you almost breathless, and now we're sort of like in a lull. We're like, here, when's the draft? But here's cool news. John and I are going to be at the draft, and it's going to be amazing. So,
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Can't wait to fly out to Dallas and just freaking drink lots of beer, talk lots of football. And
record an episode.
Yeah, it's happening. Live at the draft.
Woo!
It's happening.
All right, fellas. Hello?
I'm not even deleting that. Best sign off ever, and that is awesome. Take care, guys. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, jl_Chapman, and
that's perfect. All right, fellas.
You have to say your Twitter. You have to say your Twitter.
All right, fellas. My Twitter is @hostchuckb. I heard a blank go in my ear. Okay, it was something with the microphone. Jeez.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. Peace.